This is a YouTube video training series for table leaders, and this is designed to help you get you ready for the Passover that we're going to have at church. Before we begin, go ahead and make sure that you have your Haggadah handy. It's titled "This Cup is for You," Large Group Christian Haggadah. And if you don't have a copy already in hand, you can get that off of Amazon Kindle. You may have to search for that name and then also put in Angela Owens for that search result to come up. And you can download that for free onto your phone or your tablet. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and first off turn your Haggadah to page 22, and we'll come back to that later on in the session. First thing that you want to notice about the screen is the table placement of the table leaders. This one is denoted as a blue chair as opposed to the black chair. And the reason why is we want our table leaders to have a good line of sight to the teachers. As the night progresses, there's going to be actions that take place, and the table leader is going to be able to pick up on those actions as long as he can see those teachers. All right, the next thing that we're going to go ahead and get into is what is on the table. And there is items that are specifically for each participant, and then there's items that are reserved only for the table leader. So let's go ahead and get up our first item, which is the Seder plate. And what you're going to see here is a Word document that I've created, and this is what each participant should have. Is a small plate, and this is going to act as their Seder plate. And to reduce actions, that the table leader is going to have to do, we want this already prepared and ready for when people are, ready to start the Seder. So they're going to have one sprig of parsley. It's not needed that they have a whole clump of it because this is just for a demonstration purpose. Next to it, we have a dipping cup. Once we find out from the teachers what they want to do, they're going to either have salt water or they're going to have a grape juice in this. Again, it's just a small amount for the demonstration, and we'll want to have a lid on there so that way if kids are present at the table, it doesn't get accidentally flipped over. Next on down is our matzah, and our matzah is not a very tasty piece of bread. It is hard, it's flat, and it's pretty well tasteless. And that's going to need to be divided up several times throughout the night. So we'll be getting to that later on when we do our readout of our Haggadah later on. Next is horseradish, and we're just going to need a squirt. We're not going to need this much, what is pictured here. This is going to be hot. And so as people put this into their mouths, they're going to need a nice size cup of water that has already been filled up for them. Now this cup here, we've chosen about a 7-ounce size of grape juice for this. And again, to take away from the actions that are going to be needed for the night, we don't want to have too many pitchers. And we've already got, I think, 2 at each table. So this, we didn't want to be redundant here. So this cup here is going to be filled up, and table leaders are going to need to tell the participants, you're going to need to drink from this 4 times, representing the 4 cups. So make sure that on the first cup that you don't have somebody drinking the entire cup of grape juice. Now, each person will have 2 napkins. One is just for whatever reason that you need it, but the other one is going to be used for the demonstration. On page 19 of your Haggadah, during the Megid portion, which is the telling of the Exodus, people are going to use either their finger or a spoon or a straw to flick grape juice onto the napkin and for the 10 plagues. Now, everybody's going to have these items situated right next to them. But the table leader is going to have a cup of haroset. And this haroset is a mixture of apples, nuts, honey, and grape juice. If you have anybody at your table who has a nut allergy, tell them to definitely skip out on this part of the demonstration. But for the haroset, that will just, like I said, be passed around the table at once. So the matzah, you're going to be eating matzah with maror, which is your horseradish, and matzah with your charoset, and also I think just eating just a plain piece of matzah as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to our 3D rendition here. Each table is going to have an unlit candle. That's going to be for the candle processional that happens very early on in the Seder. We're going to have a mother leader who is going to be right here. This is about the best picture that I have for a menorah, but she's going to be lighting the 7 candles on the menorah, and you're going to ask one mother from each table to take her candle and light it from the menorah. If you do not have a mother at your table, that's not a problem. Just choose another female that would be willing to go and do that. So that could be a teenager, that could be a single lady, any single lady. All right, next what is on the table here to make note of is a little container here, and this can be very small, but it should be somewhat decorative. And this is for the ceremonial hand washing. What we're going to ask people to do is dip each one of their hands very briefly into that the water there, and you will need a little a towel. It may be advisable to have 2 towels, but you can definitely get by with just one if you need to. But one for the hand washing, the other for the foot washing. So zooming in on the foot washing station here, you'll have a pitcher. And just to give you an idea of what that picture really looks like, is just like a Rubbermaid type of picture that you would put tea or lemonade into. But we're going to have ours filled up with water. Next to it, you're going to see a bowl, and that one, ours is not going to have apples in it, but ours is going to have just a catch basin. And this, again, it's just like a mixing bowl that you might have at home. Because this is going to be situated next to the leader, it doesn't have to be fancy. Next to the bowl here, we have just like either a bag of coins or just a coin, and these are chocolate coins, just candy to pass out. And if we can't find that, that's not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and maybe get some Hershey Kisses or something. Just that this is a treat. And what this treat is used for is throughout the night there is called a position called the youngest reader. And the youngest reader, she's going to hide the afikomen, and then she's going to, quote, redeem the afikomen later on in the night. And when she redeems the afikomen, the teachers are going to have a treat for her, and when a treat is given to her, that is the signal for the table leader to pass out a treat to any children sitting at his or her table. In addition to that, the very first portion of Passover, there is going to be something called a chametz hunt. And we want our children, all of them, to participate. And one way that they can do that is when they are first seated, there's going to be a mat, and it's not pictured here, but it's kind of like a child's menu type of size. And there's going to be activities for them, such as like a crossword puzzle. But part of the activity is there's going to be a basket, and it's going to have items that have leaven in it and others that aren't. And they're going to have to figure out which items have that leaven in there. Not to worry if they can't figure that out, because the mat will have the answers. And as there's going to be a leader that's going to be coming up, and this is the children's leader as well as the reading coordinator. She's going to be up here at that time, and there's going to be a basket, and she's going to call the children up, and they're going to place the leavened items that were in their basket into the big basket, and that will be taken out of the congregation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in and take a look at the leaders table here. Every table leader and both the teachers are going to have a Haggadah at their table. The regular participants do not need a Haggadah. There's no need for that because the teachers are going to be ad-libbing throughout the night, more than likely. So, they're certainly welcome to go to the Haggadah table and purchase it, and, if that helps them throughout the night. But the teachers are going to have an ornamental looking Seder plate. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. It's very pretty. It's kind of a silver platter here. It's going to contain a cross, and that is in the kit, so you don't need to worry about making these. So there's just one cross, and they'll have the haroset, the maror, and the carpus. Go back to our screen here. And they will also have a towel each, and that is for washing or drying their hands. And this little container here is also for doing the hand washing. And they'll probably, they could use a grape juice cup at their table. Certainly they don't have to. They can have each one of these already filled. This really depends upon the teacher's preference. Here is their treat bag for the afikomen when that is redeemed. So that gives you a good size of what we're looking at. And one last little note is we're taking a look at table placements. We don't know how the table placements are going to be just yet. But when you're taking a look at this, the table leader should always have a direct line of sight to the teachers. And if the tables are put together, we lose that. So what we're going to do is put the table leader in the middle, one of these two spots right here. And so he or she can pass items around in a circular motion. And last but not least, and just kind of touching a little bit on the foot washing here, we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, and those who don't feel comfortable doing foot washing, we're just going to ask that they keep their shoes on. It will be initiated by the table leader during the foot washing time to go ahead and start the foot washing at his or her table. So like this gentleman here, he would say choose the lady who is next to him, and if she has her shoes off, he'll wash her feet, and then she will carry on and do the person next to her. This is a great time that the kids have to wash mom and dad's feet. They love it because the water is cold, and they get a lot of giggles off of that. So this is all that I have for the table leaders. If you have any questions, any comments, concerns, go ahead and email me at owens40601@yahoo.com, or reach out to your team leader for this position, and he or she can give you more information about your particular position. Thank you.